You ever felt like you're kind of pushing water uphill? You know, like you're doing this thing and it's happening, but yeah, it's not even Sisyphus. It's not even a rock. It's just water. You know what I mean? Anybody? Anybody? So when I was getting ready for this show, I started to think of a moment like that. And it began when I was actually getting coffee. I was getting coffee at a place called Blue Bottle. You know Blue Bottle? Yep. I love Blue Bottle. It's serious coffee. Oakland. Serious coffee. So I was standing in line. I was about to get it. I was with a buddy. You know, buddy works for this company. We won't name the big company that he works for. But as I'm walking up, I'm thinking to myself, this is so great. I'm so glad to be having lunch with my friend. I wonder if I actually have the $8 in my bank account that it's going to require. And as I'm walking, I pass the Bank of America, the ATM, because I'm thinking, I can't even do the ATM because I know I don't have that much. And this is something that happened to me 3 years ago. I was working to give birth to a business. The idea was to help people to understand stories, to feel stories in a deep and visceral way that could change their lives and the way they view the world. And I was a year in, and it was just really hard. And that day I come home and I get on my bike, because that's what I do when things were hard. I get on my bike and I'd ride up the hills in Berkeley, because no matter what, all of the things that were actually working, if I was riding my bike, all of the things that were actually working and the things I was building, I'd be reminded of that, and I would suddenly feel good again. And as I was riding up the hill, I'm feeling like, okay, I'm about to feel good again. I'm about to feel good again. But it's not coming. It's just the closing in feeling. It's just the feeling, the reminder of my baby daughter and her big eyes looking at me, and my little son saying to me in their own way that I interpret, "Dad, come on, Dad. When are you going to get it together, Dad?" And I'd say back to them in the way that maybe they could interpret, "I'm bringing my dreams here. I'm bringing my dreams." But it's not helping. And I'm riding my bike, and I'm riding, and I'm riding, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Should I get off the bike? Should I start sprinting up the hill? Is that going to open things up? Should I try a new barbiturate? Is that the task for today? Should I roll up in a ball and just cry? And as I'm riding, and nothing is working, and as I'm riding, and I'm waiting, and all of a sudden, something opens. Something comes in. And I wish I could tell you that that thing that came in was an ancient text that I had read in the hills of Crete. Or perhaps some beautiful story that was told to me in the downtown alley of Istanbul. No, it was a TV movie. It was a TV miniseries of the Odyssey. And this is the story that comes in. And so as I'm taking this in, I was like, okay, you know, when it's here, it's here. I know enough to welcome that. And it's a story of Odysseus, and it's the particular part that I remember, which is Odysseus carrying the goat into the land of Hades, saying farewell to his mates on the boat, carrying the goat, the fires and the flames, to go down there so he may make an offering into the pit of fire, to actually get the wisdom of the blind prophet who happens to make his living space down there. And he throws the goat in, and he gets the information from the laughing blind prophet, not very kind. And he says, follow the brightest star and the belt of Orion, and that will take you there. And Odysseus' sandals are melting. He turns back around. He climbs back up. He gets out. He makes it to his boat again. His mates pull him in. He's barely able to, because on the way he had met his mother, who had died, unable to wait for him. And he's on the boat, and he takes off, and they row as fast as they can, and they go and they follow the brightest star in the belt of Orion, and they go and they go, and they end up in a tunnel. And they're in this tunnel, a great cave, and in this cave, a giant monster eats their first mate. And Odysseus watches this, and they row and they row and they row, and they head out, and they're getting to the light at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. Except it's not just the light at the end of the tunnel. It's actually a 1,000-foot waterfall. It's a 1,000-foot waterfall, and the boat goes over the edge, and they says, row back, row back, row back. But of course we know there's no going back. And he watches as he holds on to a root, the boat falls, crashes, and all of his best mates and all of his co-warriors and his great team members of this adventure that he'd been on for 7 years, for 14 years now, are gone. And he holds on until he can't hold anymore, and he drops into the water, and somehow he survives. Somehow Odysseus survives. He grabs on to a log, which used to be his boat, and he floats on. And as I'm riding my bike up the hill, something moves. Something moves in me, because Odysseus was clear in his vision, and he knew that he was going home. He knew that he was going to make it, whatever it took. And I knew that too. Even at those times, standing in the line at Blue Bottle, passing the ATM as if access was denied. And that day on my bike, something shifted that hasn't actually shifted back. Something changed in me that I recognized. And that is the power of a story to make a turn deep inside of us and to let us know that we are not alone. Mm-hmm. And to let us know that there are those that have traveled this path before. And it was that story that came and knocked me into that. And it was in that moment that I knew that it was going to be all right. Thank you.